Okay, so I have a question. Why can't this talk to this? So when I got the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus, I had planned on keeping my Retroid Pocket 2 and net playing with this. Now, with the old proprietary operating system that they had made for the Pocket 2, you could boot into that proprietary dual boot operating system, and you could net play with another Retroid Pocket 2. My buddy Bobby, Bobby's Classic Cartridge Catalog, he's on the channel. He has a Retroid Pocket 2, and we could play games together. It was pretty seamless, pretty easy to do. As long as we were both on the same network, it would be fine because, it would all be managed. I had assumed that I would have some kind of way to do that with the Pocket 2 Plus. That's not the case right now. Within the system, within the launcher, as it were, you can launch games, but you can't net play within that launcher. I don't understand what's going on here. I don't understand why this is such a failing. Don't get me wrong. I love this device, but that's something that they missed on. Now, that doesn't say that you can't net play through RetroArch. You can't net play through EPSXE. You can't net play through other emulators. But you have to have the same exact ROMs, the same exact names. You have to use the same versions and everything. Something as easy as net playing should have been thought about when developing the Pocket 2 Plus. Now, I will say that they have thought of just about everything else. There are a lot of things that run very well on this. I'm excited for what the community and what the manufacturer can come up with here in the future. But right now, as it stands, that is something that I'd like to see them do for this Pocket 2 Plus, is some kind of netplay feature, and maybe a netplay feature to another Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. That's fine. I don't care. I would like to be able to do that. I have a few friends that are getting Retroid Pocket 2 Pluses, and I would like to be able to netplay with them with two-player games if they have a Pocket 2 Plus. They're making the financial investment, and I made the financial investment, so there's no reason why this shouldn't be in here, stock. It was with the last one, they thought of that, but they didn't think of it with this. Now, obviously, you can connect up a Bluetooth controller and do two-player and do couch co-op. If you do HDMI out and you connect a Bluetooth controller and you have two people playing on it, that's fine. But that's not that I've got one of these in my hand, and if I've got another one of these in my hand, if I've got two of these, I should be able to connect them somehow. I tried to do it with RetroArch, and that was a whole rigmarole. I barely got it working, and then it crashed. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a version that's out of place. That's fine. Same thing with EPSXE. With that app, you should be able to net play with that. There's some other ones that have net play features, but that is not my point. My point is it's not something that comes with this. There's no feature within their launcher to do this. So anyway, there's some other things that I wanted to go over today, and we're going to go over that. 1 second. So another thing that I wanted to go over today was something that I found with a couple of the setups. Now, there is a app that I had on the previous Retroid Pocket 2 that I think makes this device a hell of a lot better. I mean, I'm not going to say that the launcher that comes with this is not a good system, because it is. You can set it up, you can add all your apps that you want to in here, that's fine. But the one failing that you may or may not have noticed when you loaded up this launcher is wait a second, where is Genesis? Where is the Game Gear? I don't understand why that is not on here. It seems like a big oversight. I'm hoping that they add that in future iterations. So that's one thing that I noticed that they need to work on. Now, not to say that with RetroArch you can't do a lot of what is missing, and RetroArch really makes a fantastic system for this. But the launcher that I wanted to highlight was in this is actually on the Google Play Store. There is a free version and there is a paid version. The one that I'm demoing is actually going to be the paid version, but that is the ATV launcher. It stands for Android TV, and it is a very reminiscent looking launcher to the PlayStation Portable. And it is just a really nice way to use this. Another app that I use within this is actually EPSXE. It's a much older emulator, but it runs really well. And one of the things that you can do for it is you can actually install the off of the Play Store the OpenGL shaders. And with the OpenGL shaders, you can actually set, where is it? The XBR. And what the XBR does is it makes it look a little bit like cell shading, or like a painting, as it were. It just kind of cleans it up a little bit, and I really like it. So let's skip ahead. I'm running this at 2 times resolution. This is one of my favorite games for the PlayStation. If you've never played Jet Meadow, that is definitely something to check out on your emulated handheld. I never said I was very good. It's just a lot of fun. Then I ran into the tree. Oh my gosh. Okay, and that is PSXE with the XBR running on the PlayStation Pocket with 2 times resolution. If you have any questions on how to set that up, feel free to hit me up in the comments or send me an email. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys is Cave Story. It's actually running pretty well on this. There is an APK out there for this, and I can give you guys the details to that in the show notes. But this is the Android version of it. Now, what I did with this, I don't know if you noticed on here, but there are touchscreen controls that I actually added on here so that I can use my gamepad with this. So let's just load game. Okay. So what I did was I actually just mapped the B and the A, the hardware buttons, and the directional pad, or actually the analog for this. Now what's nice about this version is it actually, this version from Android is it's upgraded. I got a better graphics fidelity, and it has actually some lighting effects added to it. It's not necessarily needed for this game, but it does make it nice to revisit a classic indie title. I mean, in my opinion, this is actually one of the greatest, if not the greatest, indie game ever made. It's what kickstarted the whole indie scene. And that's a good way to use this, is to utilize the indie market. As you can see, it's actually got some light flash from the gun. Now, I don't know if you've ever run into it, if you've ever tried to set up the touch controls within this, within the gamepad adapter. But one thing that you will want to keep in mind is that if the menu is pulled up, this won't work. This won't work correctly. My jump and my shoot are now misaligned to my touchpad. So if I hit that bottom arrow, this disappear button right there, this arrow, then it will go down and this will work correctly. So I'm going to close that. Before I go, I just wanted to go over one thing that may be an aggravation. I went over certain applications installed through the Google Play Store that are really, really nice for this device, especially since you can augment its gamepad ability. The thing that you may notice, though, is... Wait, I played Knights of the Old Republic, and it's not here. It's not there because I disabled my Google Play services, because sometimes certain games, especially GameCube games, will run better with the Google Play services disabled. So how I got around this was I installed the ATV launcher, and boom, all of the applications that are installed are on here. It's not actually shortcuts, but actually accessing the application itself. Also, you can do the same thing with the installed launcher that comes on here. The launcher from Retroid. And if you don't see it, all you have to do is go to Add App and find it in this list, and then add that app. But you guys know how to use that. There's a million videos out there. But if you are looking for an application that the shortcut is no longer on your desktop, that's what happened. Another thing I wanted to highlight today was, so I had said that Twilight Princess was running well. That's true most of the time, not all of the time. So let me show you what's happening. I think I've gotten this optimized as much as I could possibly get it with the current hardware as it is, or software as it were. It's actually running pretty darn well. 30 frames, 100% CPU usage. I've got the Google Play services disabled. And if I go to load a state, this isn't bad. This is playable. I can play this. The problem is when I actually try to do something a little bit more intensive. Right now I am in the shadow or twilight of the Farlawn Woods again, and the FPS right now is 10. If I want to play this game, I'm going to have to suffer through this. But to some people, this is completely unplayable. In fact, suffer through it is exactly how I would put it. There are a lot of games that run perfectly well on this device, but perfectly well is not what I would say about Twilight Princess, which is upsetting because I really wanted to play Twilight Princess on this, and I am going through and playing through it. I probably played for 2 hours, and I got a good 20 frames a second when I was playing through last night. But when I got to that section, it's a constant 10 frames, so it's pretty much unplayable at that point. It's more of a just get through that section. The last thing that I wanted to show was Knights of the Old Republic. Now, you guys have seen this many times before. Hopefully, this is a fantastic game. But with Knights of the Old Republic, the game is optimized for a gamepad. So I can use my gamepad on it. However, there's certain things that are not set up within a gamepad for Knights of the Old Republic, and it should be. One thing that it should have is an easy way to get into the menu, but there's not. There's not a key configuration already on there. You have to use the touch controls, which is fine. Because there's an actual touch control on here. But it'd be nice if there was a shortcut like there was on, like, say, the Xbox. So what I did was I set up so I can... There's two things that you need to do constantly is go to the menu. So I set my start to that. And now I can navigate the menu perfectly fine. They thought of that. And the other thing is the pause combat. There's no button in the controls for pausing combat, so I set that to my select. Now my combat is paused, so I can select what I want the combat to do. So I definitely like that they put that in there, that they added that key adapter. I mean, you could do that with Squid before, but it was a convoluted setup. It sometimes didn't work, and I just like that they thought of that. So, in conclusion, the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus obviously is a very powerful little handheld, but I wanted to highlight some of the drawbacks of the system so that you can make a informed decision about this if you are making the financial investment of getting this, which for $100 is a very excellent little system. But there are some things, some drawbacks to it, and also some workarounds that I hope I gave you guys so that if you are struggling and want to know how to fix it, that these fixes will be workable. So again, this is RGCWV, Random Geek Culture in West Virginia. I am the host, Luke Hersey. The podcast, if you're wondering, I wasn't able to get the audio up yet on Anchor or Stitcher or Breaker or wherever you listen to the podcast. So that's going to be another couple days before I can get that up. But if you like this video, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification, that kind of stuff. Really helps out the channel. We have grown a lot since I started doing these Retroid Pocket videos. And if you want to see more of this or have suggestions on what you'd like to see on the next episodes that I have for the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus or anything else that I can do. We've got the Bobby's Classic Cartridge Catalog. We've got a few episodes coming up on that. So just like that you guys like this content, and I hope to bring you many more in the future. Welcome to the end.